What's a happening, YouTube? Waddock Studios here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about this game that has taken over Steam by storm. So, in the past, I've done these videos that are pretty much industry tech talks, like where are we at? Where's the console market at? Where's the gaming industry at? And the funny thing is that I did kind of a reaction video to a panel talk about the current state of the industry, and they pretty much had a like industry insiders, C-seats, suites, investors sitting around talking about the state of the industry. And funny little thing, a dude out of Australia, I'm pretty sure he solo devved this. His studio's name is like Tyler's Game Studio, or yeah, Tyler's Video Game Studio, TVGS. And essentially, this game, and I'm gonna mute this. This game, well, try that again. This game essentially gives gamers what gamers have been asking for. And I don't mean in the sense of like, being able to live out your Breaking Bad dreams. But, I mean, that's cool too. We've had games like GTA for a while, and they even have like, drug, I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube for saying certain things, but they had like simulator games that are in this vein of doing what this game does. However, they were like AA, AAA, publisher backed games, and they didn't do very well. Come to find out, like one of said studios or publishers is trying to sue this fella over basically saying the game is too much like their game. Okay, come on now, like. Oh, I guess Halo is going to get sued by id Software because it's too much like their shooters, or like every platformer game in history is going to end up being able to be sued by Nintendo. I mean, they would try, right? It's Nintendo, but it just doesn't make any sense. So what does this game have that a lot of the games that are being outdone by it, Indiana Jones, latest Ubisoft released, I want to say even like the latest Assassin's Creed. This game right now has more concurrent players than most AAA studio game releases that have come out this year. And it's with every day that number is growing and growing as word of mouth spreads. And the funny thing is, this fella didn't even have a marketing strategy. The other thing that really, like, you can tell when someone's heart's in something, because the moment that he found out that his game was blowing up or becoming popular or doing well, counter productive to trying to, like, I guess rake everyone over the coals with game prices like most studios and publishers are doing nowadays. This guy goes and puts the game on sale. I mean, granted, he's probably a millionaire already, so probably just like, okay, I'm going to fuel added success here and, like, knock the price down. He's pretty much probably set for life. But it goes to show, when you listen to what people care about. I mean, we're in an age right now where, in my previous tech talks, I said, like, games aren't even targeting their platform anymore. I mean, these engines are pushing the bar so far, and they're moving to these linear based, realistic graphics kind of Hollywood mantra, where it's like, well, we got to do the Marvel thing, or we got to do the Disney thing, or we got to do the Lego thing, and we got to push graphical fidelity into the realm of realism so far that you got to down-res your native resolution to something like the PS1 and call it DLSS performance or PISR performance or whatever, just to get it to run on modern day hardware. And I say modern day lightly because the most popular GPU is a 60 series NVIDIA GPU, or an AMD equivalent. Not everybody's rocking 90 series, like 5090s, 4090s, even 2090s aren't that popular. So it's just the industry being at an impasse with engines swapping over into like UE5 or Unity 6 and just losing touch with their core player base. Like, when you give people what they want, games that run well on like a vast majority of people's hardware that exist, and two, games that are optimized and can run at native res so that they look really good in motion and they're not smeared to death. By the way, this game offers SMAA, as an anti-aliasing option, which looks extremely good in motion on this simple low poly based type of game. The lighting looks really good. By the way, this is a Unity game. I don't know if it's URP or if it's HRP, like the high definition rendering pipeline. I don't know, but I can tell you that like it, for what it is, the soft tone, low poly aesthetic with decent lighting effects, and God rays, like it gives me this like Simpsons vibe, or maybe this like Trove, like the guy that made Trove, what is it, the Rick and Morty fella. It gives me like this mix between Simpsons and Rick and Morty, but it also goes to tell you like how important stylized art direction is in your game. Like, people, when they're playing games, when you're playing these kind of games, your brain doesn't nitpick everything to death. There's a certain amount of jank in this game that is really fun and is really forgiving with this kind of an art style. And I've said this before, like when you're like trying to approach graphical fidelity of, The Last of Us or higher, any type of something that appears out of place becomes uncanny valley. It's no longer funny or quirky or plays into, the weird physics of the game. By the way, the physics of this game is amazing. Little bitty task. Putting things in Ziploc bags and moving them just feels so rewarding with the way that it was implemented. So, like, the developer, if you're listening to the video, good on you for that. But this game has amassed popularity because it does so many things that gamers have been asking for. Just give me a game that runs well on my system, that looks sharp in motion, that isn't smeared to death or down-resed and requires DLSS or FSR, all these upscaling technologies just to be able to run well. Excuse me. This game hits the nail on the head with that, and then it focuses on the things that matter. It has like maybe 2 cutscenes in the whole game. And it's not even really cutscenes. They're like live action script events that you would like, that are akin to the Nintendo 64 era, where they really couldn't do sequenced or video based high definition type of things. And it just keeps you engaged in the gameplay, like the next task. What do I need to do? Like, where do I need to go? Who do I need to talk to? It's like whenever they have simulation in the description, interacting with computers, like they have Pong in here, essentially. Like, there's so many different mini games and so many different detailed aspects of this game. I read a review, I have it actually pulled up here on PC Gamer, where they talk about like why a AAA or AA studio like wouldn't even do this kind of thing. And it's a sad truth, is that one, they're playing it too safe. Like, no one wants to take these type of risk into the investment of this kind of thing. And if you was to lay out all the features that this indie game has into like a spreadsheet, and you was to present it to like your producer, your director, your game director, or your, any one of the yellow taped bureaucracy layers within a major studio that you would have to get through, by the time this released, it would be a shell of what this thing is, because you would just have too many people pulling levers, stripping it of everything that makes it the collation of what it is. It isn't that it does anything particularly well, or one, I mean, the core gameplay loop is really good and it is done really well. But what makes this game special is how many things and the combination of things, plus the community-based online multiplayer aspects, the phone interactions, the NPC interactions, the feeling that these guys have life. It does so many things, and it does those so many things like acceptably well. Let's put it that way. Like, yes, there's little quirks, there's little bugs here and there. The developer's very active and he's working on these kind of things, but for something to be early access and to play this well and to be this polished and not crash, and I would argue that this game released and literally breaks every misconception that you would have about like what a game can be when it releases and how things can go. It literally is smearing it into the face of the current industry right now of what it's like to release a game into early access and literally shoot well beyond the expectations of what people had. It doesn't fall short by any means. It unlike some of these massive AAA millions of dollars, like I don't want to say billions, but millions of dollars were invested into these things. They come out and they're basically beautiful turds. They're a turd with no depth, no gameplay, and they've been polished to perfection from an art department standpoint. And the thing that they're trying to be, or should I say the thing that they should be, is a video game first, and you might as well have just went to the movies and watched a movie, because that's all they are. And a game by definition did not start from the realm of having wonderful graphics. It was a mind-blowing thing to be able to actually interact with something in real time. That's where gaming started, and that's what the root of gaming is and will always be. No matter how far you try to push it into the realm of realism, it is what it is. The definition of a game is not to be as realistic looking as possible and to basically melt your PC or your device by trying to run all of this stuff in real time. Can certain things add to the aspect of that? Sure. But we've been doing dynamic lighting and dynamic games for a long time. People love cartoons and still enjoy cartoons. People love CG and still love, Toy Story looking Pixar type CG movies. And guess what? In gaming, we have the technology to pull that off. We have the technology to pull off, Bob's Burger in computer game graphics and do it really well with really good lighting in these modern day engines. So bravo for this fella for being in tune and in touch with the masses and delivering something that is, what people wanted and what people needed in an era where it feels like it's very hard to find these kind of things. So we'll go over here and look at this PC Gamer article here. And I mean, it starts off with like just basically saying like it's beating out Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, it says it's at a peak of over 450,000, but I want to say as of yesterday it was even higher than that. This game is just a gem, and even PC gamers, like, maybe they couldn't have done it because you can't release on these other platforms or whatever. But honestly speaking, if GTA exists, nothing would keep this game from releasing on consoles. And my feedback to the developer would be, if you want to keep riding this wave, take some of your earnings from Steam and hire someone who can help you port, or get with a studio that specializes in porting and see if you can get this brought over, both one with controller support and two over to consoles. But otherwise, keep it up, great job. But yeah, like here they talk how this would just be focused to death, and that is the truth. And then the other thing is that some designer, some lead, design director would have looked at this game first glance, and then unless they have the kind of sense of humor of like South Park or Rick and Morty, they would have realized this to death. They would have been like, nah, that's not real enough. This doesn't look high definition enough. This doesn't look, it don't even look like a next gen game. I could just hear it now. And unfortunately, by the time it landed in people's hands, only the elitist in the PC community are people who owned PS5 Pros with pisser thrown all over the top of it would have been able to run it. So, you know, it is what it is. I've talked about this in my industry tech talks about it's kind of sad that we are where we are. But as long as the AAA and AA studio, I mean, the guys that made Baldur's Gate 3, I mean, they basically said that. As long as the industry keeps making mistakes, then others are going to create an opportunity from those mistakes. So on the one hand, I could be over here complaining about this, like even if I react to a panel of C-suites and I'm like, yo, here's what the problems are, and everyone, even PC Gamer now, is like, this is what the problems are. You know, you're not in a crapper because of any other reasoning other than yourselves, and maybe with a little bit of help of engines just pushing too close to the sun, too far beyond current gen hardware, what the masses are regarding as like, this is good enough for me, a 60 series card. But yeah, you keep making these kind of mistakes and you're just creating opportunity for others like this to come out and smear egg in your face, you know? So it is not the first time. This will not be the first time. I mean, Repo is in a very, very similar situation. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's a great, fun game. It's almost the same type of stylized vein, like delivering what gamers want. Small indie-based title, you know. And they even have indie studios reviving the 80s and 90s look. I think Terminator 2, like it's a pixel side-scroller game that's coming out pretty soon that is kind of like the Ninja Turtles games that have kind of revived that style. They're bringing that back, and I couldn't be more happier. You know, I've spoke on returning to retro even for developers that are using UE5, that there's still a path to kind of go. Not to say it's the easiest engine to go that way. I have been lately using more Godot for Android base and low-end rendering type stuff, but yeah, we have way too many tools and way too many things as indies to understand where gamers want us to be making the same mistakes as AAA and AA studios. Plain and simple. So keep it coming, guys. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Hop over into the Wild Ox Studios Discord. Leave down in the comments your thoughts and recommendations for next videos. And until next time, if you're a developer, happy developing. If you're just interested in gaming, happy gaming. And toodles.